All right. Well,
Hi, everybody.
goodbye, Zeph. I'll have to fix screen regions once we're out of this. But without further ado, guys, Kane from My Insanity's joined us. We'll swap to the in-game overlay here, and you can take a look. So, I should have given you leader so that you could just fast forward. Do you have any points you want to go towards, or?
No, you can just kind of take control. I don't mind.
Game
All
resumed.
right. Well, what I'll do is I'll skip ahead just a little bit past the beginning part, so we can talk about more. I think more about those engagements were a really big deal. I mean, the opening was kind of really passive. I think you could agree on that. I mean, 4 bases to 3 bases, nothing
Yeah,
happening.
yeah. I've actually seen Protoss do that. I don't know. We'll get to that point in the replay, but taking a third with a lot of sentries and then doing a Twilight behind it, getting Blink and +2. And depending on what they see, they can be aggressive, or if Zerg takes a fourth and turns on the aggression, they can just kind of defend. So that's what we saw from JYP a lot this game.
All right, I'll just speed this up a bit instead of fast forwarding that way. But yeah, I mean, oh wait, this is way too early. Sorry, let me skip ahead another couple minutes.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this series, I mean, JYP is kind of the quote-unquote underdog. I mean, he's been tearing up his group stages for Dreamhack, but I gotta say, like, even though he lost in the end, he held that so well for so long. Like, there were so many points where I was just like ready to be like, and here comes the tap out, but didn't want to be
Yeah,
a
I think
WCS caster.
like somebody might look at that game and say, "Oh, JYP didn't even get halfway across the map the entire game," you know? But that doesn't really tell the tale because not many players could defend aggression like that from Life for so long.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait till we get the Hydralisk coming out. Now we're just gonna go on ×2, casual it up. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, first off, the Roach Hydra composition. I mean, I think everyone knows at this point it's good versus Protoss, especially with the end goal of being the Vipers. But we were expecting a lot of Ling aggression early on. What are your thoughts on tossing out? Because I've actually seen you do very well with Lings in the early game, especially. What are your thoughts on the openings of this?
Like looking at the third just now, JYP has so many cannons, and with the mothership core and everything, it sometimes gets really hard to do aggression with just with Lings because, well, the walls are so tight and there's so much defense that Protoss can do. So oftentimes you'll see Zerg just take a fourth and play Roach Hydra or play Ultras or something like that, you know?
Yeah, Ultras actually. It's always funny seeing Ultras because they're so rarely utilized well.
Yeah, I think a lot of North American players right now are trying to do Ultra Styles versus Toss. I know if any of you watched the Naniwa versus TLO games, TLO did upgraded Lings. Yeah, Naniwa opened almost exactly the same, just taking an early third with sentries, and then going into Blink and +2. But TLO chose to do upgraded Lings, which I think is also good, but as we saw here, you can definitely make Roach Hydra work, especially if you transition well.
Well, I guess here's the big question, Kane. How do you feel about one Overseer at a time for the first 3 pushes?
Yeah, actually, I would have loved to see Overseer speed, or Overlord speed rather, just because with DTs, you know they're going to be trying to pick off those Overseers so they can work in the DTs. And if you have reinforcing Overseers, then they get there so much faster with Overlord speed. I think the game would have ended sooner, actually, if he had gotten that upgrade.
Well, let's pause here for a second and talk about this
Game
particular attack,
paused.
though, because this was one that he didn't use DTs solely to defend on. It wasn't the Overseer that really held it, but I mean, Life was maxed out. He obviously wanted to start throwing some of his resources away, but why didn't this attack work?
Honestly, I think it just came down to really good control from JYP. His Blink Stalkers, his Force Fields, his target firing, almost everything was kind of on point for him. I don't think he messed up in too many ways. I think Life, it obviously was a very strong push, but I think JYP played it really well.
All right, well, let's play again. Yeah, because I mean, like, it's not even like the composition was bad. He came in with a full force of Hydralisks and Roaches. I mean, this really could have gone either way, but splitting up his forces, I guess, was just a little too much as well. The Blink, I don't feel like Blink felt too big into control here. It was really nice to see him escaping with a couple more Stalkers than he really should have, but I mean, it's one Immortal, it's one Colossus. There's not a lot of sentries with this. This is not your typical Protoss hold.
Yeah, definitely not. I really like the time warps that went down, and the Nexus Cannon definitely played a big part in that. Again, I think JYP's defense was pretty sick here.
Well, we know the following, the upcoming fights were a lot Dark Templar kind of sniping off a lot of the Hydralists before it was over. But I mean, realistically, those Dark Templar, they didn't get more than like say 4 kills apiece, which I mean, it's still really nice for Hydralists being the slaughter. But you know, the blink control from JYP, it was nice. It definitely helped retain a lot of the stalkers. But let's say you're in JYP shoes. I know you're not a Protoss player. First off, full disclaimer, guys. KANE is Zerg. If you don't know this, what would you have done in this situation against someone who was, say, like your caliber, controlling these roaches, controlling these Hydralisks, constantly barreling at you? What would you expect your opponent, I guess, as a Zerg player to do in this situation?
Well, the fact that JYP only has like, I think it's 3 sentries right now kind of sucks because he did lose so many early game. I would have liked to see him reinforce with more sentries so he could have more force fields and stuff. But I also would have liked to see Warp Prism play, because when Zerg is always on your half of the map and you're always defending, it gets really hard to defend. But when you do have that Warp Prism out and kind of forcing them to multitask and defend in different places at once, I think that's a lot better for Protoss, obviously. So I would have liked to see that, and I would have liked to see more sentries in the composition for JYP.
So if you're playing a life situation, the biggest gap in your armor, you would say then, is your main base, you know, 7 Zealots warped in or something, like...
Definitely, yeah. Like, if you look at the main base of Life right now, he has 1 Spore defending pretty much all of his tech. Actually, that's in every base. He has about 1 Spore. And his Overlord spread also on the left side of the map isn't that great. Yeah, so if you have one Warp Prism, or like Zealots on the right side of the map or something like that, it can really mess up the Zerg timings, because they have to send Roach Hydras back, and Roach Hydras are pretty slow. So yeah, I think that could have been really nice. Yeah.
Even with speed, they're not exactly speedy. You need like Lings or something to get from one part of the map to there. But I can totally see that. But of course, for JYP, its mentality at this point is like, just get Colossus, get Colossus. It's so easy, even for professional players, to tunnel vision at this point and not consider those very important things like a Warp Prism.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would have worked really, really well in this situation. So for those Protoss players out there, if you find yourself constantly defending, try to get a Warp Prism out on the map, or try to get a couple pylons out as well, so you can harass and force the Zerg to, you know, split up their forces. Because Roach Hydra, when it's split up, isn't very good. You have to have kind of a big death ball.
Well, that was actually kind of evidence in that first attack, too, versus JYP. You know, he split out half to go to the third, half to go to the natural, and JYP ended up holding quite well behind that. I do love his use of Blink, though, I gotta say. Like, whether it's picking out the Overseers or picking out the Vipers, he's not using it to really fight the Roaches, but pick off tactical units, like, unfortunately just doesn't have enough.
Yeah, that kind of sucks, but just kind of evidence of how Life was playing, you know, like, he forced all the sentries to die, all the Archons, everything, and it just kind of snowballed for him in the late game, I think.
I kind of thought this Contaminate was really huge, too. Not this one on the Warp Gate, but getting that Robo Facility. Not that it really ended, like, that wasn't what ended the game, but if he had kept that down for long enough, like, no observers, no detection, being able to save his units with Burrow from, like, Dark Templar or something would have been amazing.
Yeah, I think it was Wilco, A-Bomb, and I yesterday were talking about how Contaminate could be really good with Roach Hydra timings, because if you get, like, 3 or 4 Contaminates off, although it does take a lot of gas, they're going to have, like, no Colossus, no Immortals, and just, you know, a couple Observers or something like that. So I think it could be utilized a bit more, but I don't think Zerg players have explored it quite enough yet.
Yeah, 3 Contaminates is like a minute and a half. That's huge. Like, you can't even Chrono Boost to make up that time. Especially
when you're trying to defend, like, a 13-minute timing or something, you know, and your Robo Bay might not even be done until 9 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, and actually, just going back to the point Kane made about counterattacks, guys, pause in the game. I mean, look at this. Life's whole army isn't even over here. It's still rallied across the map, but again, there's nothing defending the main. A Warp, even if you didn't have Warp Prism, like, let's say he snuck in a pylon on the eastern half of the map. This base only has a Spinecrawler defending it. So I guess I can kind of see, like, while this looks very overwhelming in the favor of Life, and like he would be untouchable in this situation. I mean, at this point, it's so far gone. JYP's not exactly in a good spot to go for Warp-ins, but if he had that pylon, say, minute 1 of the game, I mean, Life had never actually come across this part of the map. He never would have seen, like, at the 4th base location or something, that there was a pylon there, and Warp-ins could have caught him off guard, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it definitely would have made a huge difference in this game. But like you said, oftentimes you'll just get in a situation where you're saying to yourself, you know, I need Colossus right now. I need a lot of stuff, and it's definitely like I don't even know if I'd call it a mistake, but it's definitely an easy mindset to get into for sure.
Oh man, tunnel visioning for everything though. I mean, like that's not even just video games. This real life. I mean,
True. Yeah.
it happens in
Yeah,
stressful
absolutely.
situations. So okay, yeah, in like a quick summary, since we're getting towards the end of the replay here, what do you think like was the single strongest thing Life did? Was it like getting the Vipers out quick? Was it just constantly applying pressure? That early fourth base. I mean, in your eyes as a Zerg player yourself, what do you think was like the best thing Life did this game?
You know, I think it was going from, well, identifying that it was an early third with Twilight, so his Robo was going to be pretty late, and going for a really strong Roach Hydra timing. Not only that though, but he transitioned really well. Like he did the Roach Hydra timing and then recognized that he wasn't going to be able to kill JYP with it and went into Vipers. So I think getting Vipers out was probably the best thing that Life could have done this game. And obviously it worked out quite well.
Yeah, the Blind Clouds, I love when players use Blinding Clouds. So many people kind of shy away from it because it's like, they don't last the longest time, but it's like force fields, you know, just areas which you can't attack. You know, if you get 3 force fields blocking you out, throw down 3 Blinding Clouds. They can't touch you either.
Yeah, it is super similar to Force Field in that it kind of zones out your opponent. And Life's Viper control is pretty good this game. I think the first time he engaged with Vipers, he grabbed 2 Colossus and had a really sick Blinding Cloud or 2.
Alright, well actually, screen regions have made you look incredibly silly. Let me fix that.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, that was KANE, guys, one of the members of the My Insanity House. Of course, really good Zerg player. If you've never seen him play, first off, I'd highly recommend pretty much looking at most games KANE plays, because I gotta say, man, just small side note, like, not from a professional standpoint, I really like watching your early game versus Protoss. There's not a lot of Zerg players who can handle early aggression like you do versus Gateway expansions. So, highly recommend it, guys. We didn't bring him on stream just because we were desperate to find a Zerg player. He knows his stuff. He knows how to play.
That's what they tell me.
That's why I'm in Switzerland. I mean,
Yeah, I guess so. Thanks for the compliment. So yeah, my ZVP right now it's pretty hard, but watching games like this and stuff can really help, you know.
all right, well, man. Obviously, we'll shout out your Twitters and stuff. Thank you for hopping on for the analysis of the game. Do you have do you do like anything else? Like, do you coaching or anything, or just pretty much?
Right now I'm like pretty much just practicing.
Cool.
So right now I'm not doing any coaching or much streaming at all, really. But yeah, hopefully in the future I'll be able to do a bit more of that stuff.
All right, well, guys, this was My Insanity's KANE. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your Twitter is just simply at MYIKane, right?
It is, yeah.
All right, so if you guys want like to follow a good Zerg player with Base Trade TV's recommendation, follow at MYIKane.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. All right, well, we'll get Penguin back on in a sec, guys. We'll probably throw out a couple more ads while we get the next series sorted out. It'll be Life. Again, it's either Life versus MMA or Lucifron versus Naniwa. So thanks. And again, KANE, thank you as well.
No problem.